How's it going, John?
Oh, it is going well tonight, Eric. How are you? Are you fabulous?
I was thinking about it.
Had a 3-day weekend.
It was exceptional. We'll go with exceptional.
Exceptional. Oh, you're just trying to find all the synonyms. Okay.
That's
good.
right.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. What made your weekend so exceptional?
So it was both good and sad. It was two things at once. So my lovely wife has been without a vehicle for quite a while, and she's been telling me for a couple of years now. We had a minivan before, because you have kids and you haul kids around and you haul their friends around. And you do minivans are very nice.
They are very.
She's like, I don't want a minivan anymore. And then about 6 or 7 months ago, I don't remember exactly when it was, we sold the minivan because it was used cars were going for quite a bit.
Yeah.
So we took advantage of that.
When they're high. Mm-hmm.
And got rid of the minivan. But she hasn't had a car. And so we found out that Ford was doing 0% financing, also known as free money, and thought, well, let's just go down and see what's there. And we went in.
What's it going to take you for you to walk off the lot with the keys to the new car?
Exactly. And so we went, and she had in her head the kind of thing she wanted. So she wanted, she used to have an Explorer, similar to the one that you have, Explorer, but a couple of years newer than the one you had. So years ago.
And probably way nicer, especially now. It's really getting pretty bad at this point.
Yeah.
But
so she liked that. So we went and test drove but the Explorers are insanely expensive.
Oh, are they?
Now, yeah. Anyways, so we drove, and it was super nice. It was very luxurious. But it had the third row of seats, which we really don't need anymore. It's a little bit big. I don't even think it would fit in our garage without some moving stuff around in the garage. And so we said, well, let's look at a different. So the Ford Edge is the one step down. It's only got the 2 seats. And
it's the mama bear.
Yes. She
fell
in love with the color. Yeah, exactly. She fell in love with the color. She fell in love with the interior, all, the styling. It was everything she wanted, missing a couple things. And so a couple of the things they can add later, which we got him to add. And a couple of things she was like, well, I guess I just won't have that. And she was happy with it. So the sad part about that was,
but
we don't have need for that many vehicles. And so I traded in my truck.
Your beautiful truck.
Yes, my wonderful, lovely F-150. They gave me a pretty good deal on it, and so that was a good chunk down on the new vehicle for lovely wife, and she won't let me drive it now.
Well, it's her car.
That's right. It's her car. So to console myself, on Monday, my boy and I went to check out the new Mini Electrics. So the all-electric Minis.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun to drive. It feels really solid. It's a small car, though. So going from F-150
microscopic car
to Mini Electric is, you could probably fit 5 Mini Electrics in the, volume of the F-150. But it was a lot of fun. So my boy and I went and test drove that. That was a lot of fun. So
okay. All right.
That was my weekend for the most part.
That's a big change in the household. Anytime you acquire or divest, or both acquire and divest of a car, that's a big deal.
Yeah, the garage has the new car smell in it.
Yeah. Well, someday, I don't know. I'm just not driving enough like these days. But anyway.
Yeah.
To warrant having a car.
I don't need an extra car. Exactly. I don't drive anywhere. I go to lunch with you, and that's pretty much it.
Right? Well, but now you can't carry a sheet of plywood home from Lowe's, so
Well,
if you need to borrow a truck,
in the
I know a guy.
6 years I had a truck, I don't think I carried a single sheet of plywood home. So
I know that's not true because I remember you introducing me to Mr. Plywood on the east side.
Oh, that's right.
So
I did pick up a bunch. That's right. For for an activity I do remember doing that. Yeah.
that was probably the one and only time.
That was the one time. Yeah.
But I remember that because I was like, ooh, I want to go to that place.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, well, funny. Okay, well, congratulations. Congratulations on the new vehicle.
Yes. I get to admire it from a distance.
The passenger seat.
Exactly, from the passenger seat.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Yep.
That's all good. Well, we didn't. It was a long weekend, which was nice, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, I did some work, which was okay, but I'm pretty sure that I didn't do much productive this weekend. Other than that work, I mean, in the Oregon area,
Mm-hmm.
we get so much rain that peaches have a hard time growing. And they get this fungus thing called peach leaf curl. I forget if I've talked about this on the podcast last spring or winter when I had to do this. But so I did spray the peaches you can spray them with this copper sulfite that you have to do like several times to try and basically kill the I guess I think it's a fungus. I think it's antifungal.
Okay.
And hypothetically organic. That's what it says on the label, but it's got this really funky bluish teal color that does not look like something you would find in nature. But hey, I did that, I guess, and I did a couple other small things, weeded a little bit, but otherwise I mostly sat around the house and read.
Oh, and
I read, I finished actually tonight. I finished Tess of the Emerald Sea, which is the Brandon Sanderson book.
Yeah.
Did I get that title right? I think so.
I think it's Tress.
Tress, yes, as in locks of hair. Yes.
Yes.
Tress. Sorry. That's funny. So I finished that. That was good. I finished another series I'd been reading on Royal Road, which I had been sort of devouring. And, so that was fun. That was good. I kind of needed a little bit of a downtime, I guess.
Yeah.
But, so that was fun. And I really enjoyed, although evidently I didn't remember her name, Tress and of the Emerald Sea. Super interesting concept for the, sort of environment.
Yeah, isn't it?
I thought that was quite clever and very much enjoyed that. So, and yeah, it you said last week that it was sort of inspired by The Princess Bride, and I have read The Princess Bride,
Mm-hmm.
a couple times and very much enjoyed the, sort of the tone. So I liked the afterwards too, where he was like, sort of practicing getting into Hoyd's voice as a storyteller, and I liked that a lot. I thought that was great.
Nice.
I still haven't gotten my Hoyd box like you did, but according to the email, they say that they will be delivering them throughout the month, and not to ask them when yours is coming. So I am restraining myself and expecting that I will get an email at some point. Cause, Backer Kit, I think is the company.
Yeah.
Has my mailing address. So, okay. Just be patient. You evidently were on the early, recipients, and maybe I'm on the, not early recipients. Don't tell me what's in there. I'll be patient.
I'm keeping quiet.
It looks like you're having a hard time keeping quiet, but anyway.
I am. There's so much fun stuff in it.
Okay, well, we'll get to talk about it at some point. It's coming, so we'll see.
Fun stuff. I guess one other note, thing that I worked on over the weekend was my little hash check app. I added
Okay.
some improvements and some color schemes and some nice finish. I put some finishing touches on it, I guess I'll say. So if you have a
Okay.
Mac, go out to the App Store, download the latest version, and give it a good review.
I clearly hadn't installed this on my new-ish Mac. I remember I did some testing for you before. Oh, look at that. It says hash check could not be installed. Please try again later. Interesting. Oh, well, now mine says installing. I don't know, dude. I know it's not a big app, so I don't know why it's only 2% complete and still spinning for 30 seconds. So something else is wrong. All right. Well, so now it's not only asynchronous, but it's got other bells and whistles.
Yes.
All right. I'll try and reinstall it.
Should we get to some stuffs?
Yes. How about a topic?
All right. So unless you've been living under a rug or whatever the saying is, you have probably heard of GPT-3 or ChatGPT or AI assisted, help. Stack Overflow has banned them. There's GPT or ChatGPT 0 or GPT0.me is a website to help people detect when something's been written with AI instead of humans. Students are turning in term papers that they never wrote. All that kind of stuff is happening. Well, one of the also areas, and I think we've even mentioned it on the podcast here, is using one of these Chat GPT, GPT-3 type tools for phishing campaigns or, a targeted phishing attempt for companies, ransomware, harassment, whatever it is, using this. Because one of the things that, and I know I've told my family this a lot, is if they get an email that tells them, hey, you need to send us Bitcoin or whatever it is, look for bad grammar, bad spelling, whatever, and that'll be a dead giveaway that it's a scam, that it's not really from your bank, because your bank probably has a staff of people who write things in better English than that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with ChatGPT or GPT-3 or any of these things, they will do proper English for you. And so you can no longer rely on bad spelling, bad case, wrong way of saying things, because if the bad guys start using these type of tools, it'll help, alleviate at least that indicator for you.
Some sort of the syntax issues.
Yeah. And so this article that I'll post here is an article with a group of researchers just went through a bunch of different scenarios. Hey, if a bad guy started using ChatGPT for this or GPT-3 for this, what would that look like? So, for example, they asked the GPT-3 to generate fake news stories. So fake news, and they would give it some hints like, hey, write an article blaming the U.S. for a pipeline attack in 2022. Or so you think of whatever you want, and it dumped out whole articles on whatever the topic is. And a lot of this stuff, it will give, attackers who usually are from other countries access to proper grammar, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so it goes through a bunch of different, phishing scams. Hey, if I wanted to do a targeted phishing towards a CEO, it'll add social media posts. You can imagine a whole bunch of tweets being scheduled, from whatever topic you want to push to just automate all of this stuff. And as they got through to the end, I think my favorite part of the whole article was they get to the end, they said, all right, now I'm going to feed ChatGPT or GPT-3 to review the research that we did. And the robot comes back and says, While the report does an excellent job of highlighting the potential dangers posed by GPT-3, it fails to propose any solutions to address these threats. Without a clear framework for mitigating risks posed by GPT-3, any effort to protect against malicious use of these technologies will be ineffective. So basically mocking the report. So it's kind of funny there how well it's working. This kind of stuff is working now. So it, again, as we mentioned before, it'll be fun to see. Fun's the wrong word. It'll be...
Entertaining's the wrong word.
Yeah, it's not entertaining. It's educational on how these new technologies for large language models are going to be used for evil. So there you go. That's my article this week, is a reminder that, hey, now it's not just... Now even legitimate looking emails you have to be suspicious of. Even if they sound good, they may not be.
And you absolutely know that there will be a million different, like, legitimate looking articles, etc., that are, nothing more than a manufactured controversy.
Exactly.
Did you read the Neil Stephenson book? What was it called? Fall? The one with the guy whose brain gets uploaded into the computer.
Yes.
So, and they had these enclaves of people who didn't know anything, were convinced that things were real that were totally not. And they had, you had to be careful as you sort of traversed into these pockets of the country where they had kind of clumped together, because the beliefs were so strong that that was what was true, and
nothing anybody said could convince them. No facts, no data,
even reality. There was
could not convince them otherwise. Yeah,
there was an area where there had been a hypothetical nuclear detonation, which there hadn't. You could drive into it, but before you could enter the area, it was you had to be stopped and made to be understood that some people believed that there was nuclear fallout ahead, and if you didn't believe that, then that's fine. You could proceed into the area that was totally clean. But I hope that he was not as prescient as he has been about many other things.
Like we just talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So
sulfur in the sky.
Oh yes. Ridiculous.
All right.
I only brought one article tonight. It was an article I saw today about a CloudTrail Bypass that was released. The disclosure was released today by Datadog, although they discovered it almost a year ago, last March. So I guess that's 10 months ago. So congrats to the good collaboration between Datadog and AWS, I guess.
Nice.
For the severely extended disclosure period. But they detected this. They did say something about this in here, about a very slow way to find undocumented APIs is just to monitor network traffic from your browser. And when you see a call that you don't understand and that looks strange, maybe pull on that thread. And so that's how they discovered this. Although they didn't really think of it as an undocumented API per se, or a vulnerability per se, until they got a couple steps in. But they noticed that there was the browser, when you're going through the AWS console, makes calls to backend services to configure them and do other things that you're doing. And they noticed that when doing IAM, and I know IAM is your favorite AWS service,
okay, that
there were endpoint calls being made to a API endpoint that wasn't, /IAM, it was /IAM admin. Pulling on monitoring this a little bit, they noticed that it appeared as if these IAM admin calls were doing essentially batch requests for the actual IAM API. So it would let you do multi-select users, and basically, appeared to be, and I don't think the article, if it was more definitive in that, maybe I missed it, but I don't think that AWS confirmed that. But they basically have a list of the APIs that were in this IAM admin. They did some, reverse obfuscation of some JavaScript, from the AWS console to get a list of the, APIs that were called. But, they were basically improving the performance of the AWS console by enabling batch requests. Okay, fine. But they paid attention to how the requests were formatted, noticed some differences, and, got it so that they, reverse engineered it enough so that they could basically write their own calls against the IAM admin endpoint instead of the IAM endpoint. Okay, fine. So long as all of the security constraints that apply to the singular API also apply to the batch API, probably no big deal, right? So, is it essentially just a way of saving client round trip time? And, the actual APIs are called with all the appropriate, controls enforced as the actual calls themselves are made. Well, no, because they noticed that, when they were hitting these calls, from the API, that nothing was showing up in CloudTrail. And CloudTrail is supposed to be, monitoring, tracking, calls that are made so that you have an audit trail of what's been done by whom to what, etc. So the comment is, what surprised us was that nothing showed up in CloudTrail at all, even after calling the API multiple times, both with and without the required permission. What was even more surprising was that we could get results from the API without it appearing in CloudTrail. So, and that's the actual vulnerability that AWS has now fixed, is the fact that you could use these other undocumented APIs to bypass the tracking of APIs. It wasn't clear that there was an actual authentication bypass, just that it was, it wasn't audited properly. At least in this article, it only talks about the auditing, not about them being able to do something that they couldn't have done or that they didn't have the permission to do. But
I guess it depends on what those APIs they could do actually did.
Well, they did mention part of here. I didn't pull it out, but they did mention that there was a little bit of difference in the results returned, and there was a little bit of difference in, or that the IAM, I think it was that the IAM admin call failed in one particular thing if you didn't have the appropriate permission. But at least I didn't pull out that there was a permission issue. But the problem is that other downstream items that might use CloudTrail as a data source would also end up being impacted. And the example in the article is Guard Duty, which is a security tool in AWS that, looks for things like anomalous behavior in your CloudTrail logs to try and, detect, security issues or misconfigurations or other things. And, the quote is, since Guard Duty uses CloudTrail as a data source, it can't alert on something it can't see. So, anyway, I like this article. Obviously I think it's always fun to, hear and read about the sort of detective steps that were taken of, we saw this and then this happened and then this and this and this. And, it's educational and informational. So
nice.
Good stuff. So there you go. That was my article for the night.
That was a good one.
How about something fun?
All right. Yep. For my something fun. So my something fun, I'm actually totally stealing from JR. He posted this in the Slack, and it actually is just too hilarious not to share. So start out by clicking on the Twitter link, and I think that's probably what I'll put in the in the show notes. So the show notes is a tweet from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Portland Corps of Engineers, and it says, "Us makes a cat calendar for people to enjoy. People, you guys suck at Photoshop." So what they have done is they have created a calendar of all the things that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer handles, bridges, the big stuff, dams, infrastructure, right? Dams, etc.
Jetties.
Infrastructure, and they photoshopped cats into these pictures, just hilariously and almost intentionally. It's poorly done Photoshop work. I mean, it's so poorly done, it's hilarious, but it's just hilarious in general, right? And so
the internet loves cats.
The internet does love cats, and so you got to go click through and see some of the pictures.
So I totally did. I looked through these earlier. I don't know if you saw my reply to JR about my favorite one. But my favorite one was, let me pull it back up here. Oh, yeah. It was October.
Yeah, the cat swatting October. The guy.
Well, and especially because of the, in my, it's a physics joke, a giant cat might show up and knock you off into the water. We said might. The chances of it happening are very, very low, but never zero. And that's that. There you go. That's physics in a nutshell.
There you go.
The chance of that happening is very, very low. Infinitesimally small, but never zero.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I just read that with a physics mind, but that made me laugh.
Yeah. And so in the tweet, they have here's the link to our poorly photoshopped calendar. So they just kind of ride with the tongue-in-cheek thing and the link. So it's funny. There's also a CNET article that I found on it. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers cat calendar is so bad it's brilliant. It's just a lot of fun. So
that's awesome.
There you go. That's something awesome. Fun. Is you don't need Photoshop to do something goofy. And it works.
Well, or you don't have to know Photoshop well to be able to do something fun.
Yeah.
And just look at half the memes these days.
Exactly.
It's not about quality. It's not about image quality. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Okay, my something fun, I had to actually go back and look through the RSS feed to make sure that I hadn't done this before or that you hadn't done this before. But it is basically a man page for a modern age. So do you click on the link I threw in the notes.
All right, I got it.
It's called explainshell.com. And you can type any Unix command into the little text box up at the top. And it will give you explain what the command is. So I guess this would mostly be useful for people who are like, what? They told me to do X, and what is that actually going to do? So paste that command in here and it'll explain it. Cause the least main thing you're going to use a man page for is like, what arguments do I figure out? But, and so this doesn't help with that, but this does help with explaining a shell command. And it's very pretty.
That is kind of cool. Now I'm trying to think of complicated. FFmpeg. That would be a great one to throw some of the crazy commands. FFmpeg.
Do they have? Yeah, I'm sure they do. I don't know if you can come up with one on the fly, but
no. Let me just search my bash history.
I don't think have I done anything fun in my current history.
All right. Well. That's actually kind of cool. I haven't seen that before.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, it even has a dark mode.
Yes. I mean, it's a very, very simple website. But I could also imagine the interesting data you do, taking the logs from the back, the background and say ooh, what are the commands that most people search for? And anyway, that would be fun.
Oh, no, that's kind of
anyway,
cool.
There you go. I saw this and I thought, oh, that's very slick. That's very cool. And really it's about presentation.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really slick.
That's what it's about. So there you go. Something fun. ExplainShell.com. All right, my friend. We will call it a show.
All right. Have a good night, John.
I'll talk to you next week.
We'll see.
Bye, Eric.
Bye.